It's a beautiful moonlit night. You're sitting there, sipping on your favorite glass of whatever it is, be it chocolate milk or something else, and you've got the World Championship Series on. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Nathanius, joined by Zombie Grub to take you through a magical evening of StarCraft 2. And with that, our wonderful winners match. How excited are you for this, Zombie Grub?
I'm the most excited.
Yeah. Could you imagine a better Valentine's Day gift than a Scarlett versus SpeCial match? Good Terran versus Zerg?
Valentine's Day gifts are like roses and chocolate and stuff. So.
Yeah, this is much better than that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Some good TVZ. Oh, yeah.
So much better.
Getting war chest XP just for watching the stream.
Exactly.
I think I actually have 2 or 3 nodes unlocked now. So I'm having a good day. We are getting ready for this next match. It is Scarlett versus SpeCial. As you said, both players are in Korea. We're playing on the Korean service. There's going to be no latency for them. And this should just be an awesome, awesome match. So I'm going to say that I am ready, so we can just jump into this one as soon as possible. Do you have a favorite? I'm going to go with SpeCial. I think he played stupid well in his first match today.
That's what I told Robbie, and that's what I'm going to say again. I'm going with SpeCial.
Okay.
Yep. I think if Scarlett wins, though, we won't be too shocked, especially...
It would be awesome. If Scarlett wins and SpeCial plays as well as he did in the first match, that means this is like the sickest series we've had in WCS Winter.
Yes, that is definitely going to be the truth. If SpeCial were playing as good, but I think... I actually have a lot of comments on why I think the first series went the way that it did, besides SpeCial just being an awesome player. But first, the introductions. In the bottom right is the blue Terran. It is SpeCial.
And he faces off against our red Zerg player in the northwest. She is Scarlett. Lots of Scarlett fans in the chat, by the way. Scarlett's super popular. Fans of SpeCial as well. I saw a lot of Doritos getting spammed.
Makes sense.
People want to see their favorite players succeed. Unfortunately, only one of these players can win this match. Fortunately, both of these players can still get out of the group. Whoever loses is going to fall down to go against Cham. We've already seen SpeCial wipe him, and I feel pretty good about Scarlett going up against Cham as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Cham is truly the one being tested here, more so than these two who are almost guaranteed to make it out. But Cham, you know, certainly he can perform an upset, maybe in that ZvT, but if he somehow faces SpeCial again, especially
that was
I don't know.
Brutal, savage, wrecked.
But one of the reasons that I think that did look so clean from SpeCial was that there wasn't a lot of unpredictability from Cham.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
In general, he has his 1-1 roach timings. Yeah, that's true, and that's still scary. But I think when you face someone like Scarlett, especially Scarlett, she has so many builds, so many styles. She's been through every single meta and has performed well in every single meta, you know, whether it was mutas or roaches and hydras or whatever, and that's going to create more of a question mark. So SpeCial's not going to get these beautiful, perfect 6-minute openers where he's barely touched and everything's going well for him. This should be very different.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a pretty fair point to bring up. Of course, Scarlett is known for some of her more aggressive strategies, her harass. We expect to see her play without that sort of, you know, Roach, Ling, Bane style in the mid-game. Probably going to be a good amount of Lings to kick things off. Although, I would still like to see, because I haven't seen it really yet, some good Nidus play versus Terran. I'd like to see it kind of work.
If you say it often enough, Nate, the Nidus will happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm going for, really. You know, sometimes when the match ends, because there's so much stream delay, like the player will just be like, I want to see what the casters were saying when they GG'd. I just have to like wait to the final second of the game and then just be like, please build a Nidus.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
It's my new strategy. That's
a good strategy, though. Scarlett, again, would be one of those players that like threw out a Nidus Worm if she's been experimenting with it recently, but I don't know if she has. Yeah, this matchup might be a little bit still too far out. It's still too weird to do that in any other way besides a regular.
Oh, I'm not suggesting that it's going to actually happen in any way. I'm just...
You're hoping.
Yeah, I'm just hoping. I like seeing new stuff kind of pop up. I like SpeCial's Raven build that he did on the other map. I don't think Kairos Junction is particularly good for it. There's not as much dead space behind the bases. You can't really tuck it between the third and natural. You can kind of go in the back of the main, but it's very hard to get out if you do make it in there.
Yeah.
So I think from SpeCial, we're going to get something a little bit more standard. Straight into that Viking makes a lot of sense. Maybe Banshee to follow up?
Does he have a tech lab anywhere?
Yeah, it's on the barracks. I mean, he could be going for stim, but it looks like he wants to swap it with the way it's positioned.
So, okay, this is interesting. So first of all, I think Scarlett has done quite a few 1-1 roach timings on this map. Kayode Junction very popular for that. So that should be something in her mind. Things have not yet been decided here. And then she also had like a only Carapace all-in that she did, I think, in like, like
the
2 weeks
Carapace
ago.
Roach all-in?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
She has done this on this map, and it seems to be this map in particular. But what is most interesting right now is that this Marauder wasn't just a defensive Marauder. It's actually going to be used here with Marauder Slow.
Is he going to do the 4 Marauder, you think?
He should, and he should get Marauder Slow. You drag and drop the Marauders or just bring them along, whatever, with the Medevac. And then you get a Hellbat attack with Marauder Slow. The Queens can't escape. They can't micro. They die quicker as well, right? The Marauders punching at them. And this is a very sick attack that Scarlett is not going to scout.
Yeah, this is a cool build. You don't really see this one enough. I feel like someone else did do this recently.
Goof?
Yeah, maybe. I honestly have no idea, but I do remember seeing this, and I'm like, this build isn't that popular. But it's one of those fun ones that does occasionally pop up. I remember Polt used to do this actually a lot versus Zerg back in the day.
That's a good point, yeah. Gumiho has done it, and I think Kelazur might have done it in one of the games.
Okay, yeah, maybe Kelazur.
Yeah, so that was the first okay scout, and even then it wasn't really. Like, she saw how many Helens there were.
The lack of a Baneling nest is what makes this really scary for me. Like, it's on
oh my god, she just made
but
12 drones.
This build should hit before she can do anything in regards to that, and the Marauder Concussive Shell doing work.
She just doesn't have much army. 16 Lings and, yeah, 8 Queens, but that's all the point of the bringing the Marauders, that the Queens can't buy time like they're supposed to, although that medevac gets very low, a little too far forward, and the Queens are all together, which is the good news, and now it's the bad news because they're all clumped up.
So Scarlett's like, take the Queens, and I'm just going to build all the Banelings back in my natural expansion. She does try to counterattack with some Lings, but there is a wall up for special.
Oh, is there though?
Okay, well, on the minimap it looked like it was closed. She didn't actually run them through.
She's still not. She's trying to micro
yeah,
and...
now she's through.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
But Hellbats did pop out. No, not enough. They actually got jumped on. Yeah, he should close the door, but luckily there's no more Lings on the way. They're all back here trying to defend. A Liberator is dealing a lot of damage here as all of our Queens died, obviously.
Oh, golly.
Here goes the last 2.
Here comes the Banelings, and good split so far. Yep, still a bunch of Hellbats left, and Special just win this one?
Yeah, I think he does.
Yeah, GG.
Toasty GG. SpeCial with that nice Marauder Hellbat attack that seems to be...
That's a cool build.
It's going to plague the ladder soon.
Yeah, that's one of those fun builds. I always thought it was interesting because, you know, Concussive Shell on creep works very weirdly, especially with Queens, because Concussive Shell only reduces the speed based off of their base speed, which for Queens is actually extremely low. So on creep, Queens don't really move much slower. It is a little bit slower in terms of like running from the Hellbats, but because the boost from being on creep isn't affected by the Concussive Shell.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact. That's a fun fact for you guys out there. Concussive Shell isn't crazy against Queens or really anything on creep, but it still works. It's just not as effective as like in the open.
Yeah, not as much as you would maybe expect too.
Not as much as you would maybe expect.
Yeah, but it is an attack. I keep wanting to say it's an all-in, but well, it is dedicated. It's not really an all-in. It is pretty dedicated though. Like you don't get a third CC that fast.
Yeah, it puts you on a weird tech path as well, because it's like, yeah, you have Concussive Shell, but you don't really want Marauders if that attack doesn't work. Yeah. Like your transition would try to be into like bio, but you have the armory, and you're like, well, I don't really want to go into mech out of Concussive Shell, although you could.
I've certainly seen it.
I mean,
yeah, it's something that if you were capable of just literally, like if the Banelings were already done and there was like 15 Banelings, okay, that attack probably looks really silly.
Yeah.
And that's when that attack doesn't do anything. But otherwise, there's a potential to pick up Hellbats for further harassment. There's a potential to just pick up the Marauders for further harassment. The Medevac always gives you more opportunities for later attacks, longer lifespan of that attack, and just in general, like I've yet to see it not do anything. Basically, it seems to cover all its bases. Because even against Marauder openers or Roach openers, obviously the Marauders do that.
Yep.
They fit in well there too.
Yep. It's very nice defensively. Hellion Marauder early game is like it's not a bad defensive setup by any means. And I feel like SpeCial has done a lot of builds that have given him the opportunity to defend, even if his attack, like gets put off guard or something like that.
Yeah.
Getting even just a starport with the tech lab, if you sense any type of aggression early on, you just slap down a Banshee and you're pretty much covered. Anyway, we are loaded into game number 2. In the bottom right, the red Terran player. His name is SpeCial.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, she is Scarlett. And does she change things up? She was playing defensive. Everything looked like macro. Literally, as SpeCial was attacking, she had finished a round of 12 drones. I delayed that Baneling Nest, OK timed layer type thing. Like, she was going into macro mode.
At what point do we see Zerg start to get Overlord speed earlier against Terran again?
So I swear that they were a month ago for about 2 weeks, like every single one.
Was that just because of battlecruiser rushes?
Yes, yeah, so many from the Terrans in the beginning.
I feel like there's still too many builds that Terran can do. Like, I feel like you should still be going for Overlord speed. I don't know any other good way without rushing lair, but even that makes you really vulnerable to a lot of attacks. Like, in my mind, Overlord speed's the only thing that like, maybe guarantees you a mid-game scout.
Yeah, in that last game he got a Viking, didn't he?
Yeah.
On the Overlords.
He had the Viking.
Yeah, it's
I think it's really hard to know because like
it is.
that Marauder build is really good. I mean, hell, we even saw somebody do like what was it, Reactor Viking Hellion? We saw Massa do like Hellion Viking, and then of course there's still everything else. There's still Banshees. There's still Liberators. We saw Bunny even still just the last week ago do battlecruisers in TVZ even after the nerf.
Well, I feel like if that Marauder push does become popular, then we will have to see a bit of a return for it. Because right now, I think Zerg players do feel rather comfortable in their lair timings and their queen usage and just like a cautionary spore crawler that if they don't scout the starport and surprise Banshees, they're good. If it is a Hellbat attack that they didn't scout, they're still good because their queens are theoretically in high enough numbers with creep spread that they can actually micro, which is what she did. But then the addition of the Marauders is really what
shell really hurts.
It's really what is taken away that
kite in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. But that was the coverall defense that Zerg players I think have been depending on, and maybe they shouldn't anymore. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I am not opposed to a metagame where you don't defend everything with queens, but I still I'm still a little concerned for how Scarlett advances in this match if she continues to be unaware of what the opponent is throwing at her. Oh my God, he's gonna go for the switch. There's Zerglings right there, my dude.
I guess he doesn't care about.
Okay, there is a Marine. All right, you can still stall it a little bit. Oh, that just, I don't know, man. That just triggered something primal in me. I was genuinely horrified.
It was a little scary, because SpeCial hasn't got any scouting done yet.
Like caveman staring at a saber-toothed tiger.
There's not even a Reaper to send across the map once these lings are cleaned up. So if there were 10 more lings, this game is actually at a really silly point right now.
The game could have been over.
Yeah, they had blocked the Hellions from being produced. But that was a risk that SpeCial took, and it ended up being fine. It is a normal opener here.
Is he floating the racks out in case there's an Overlord there?
I think he is.
Okay, no, never mind.
Well, yeah, not anymore, I guess. Well, anyways, so Scarlett, I mean, gets a little bit of denied mining. 2 SCVs, gonna probably lose that Overlord.
Oh yeah, it's because he realized the Overlord was there and not above his natural.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And the first 2 Hellions are poking, I think?
Yes, they are. They're just not getting much done.
And it's a Liberator opening this time out of the starport.
Yeah. If you guys didn't catch it, this was a CC first, by the way, which is why, some people go for the Reaper after CC first, but for a long time, the whole idea was that you didn't. You actually just played pretty greedy.
Once sling speed is done, Reapers are kind of useless, right? So I guess you assume that if you're going to delay your production even a little bit, it's probably not worth it versus Zerg?
Yeah, the Hellions will get the scout, especially if you are aggressive with them with the first 2.
Is this his Liberator Hellbat now, then? Or
I do believe so. Wait.
Yeah, he's got the armory coming in, and he had his Liberators out.
Yeah.
So...
Yes, indeed it is. Now this time... Yeah, well, this time there's no Marauders. So this is where we'll see how the Queen defense usually works out.
Okay, I like this a lot.
Follow-up Banshee.
So Banshee, going for Cloak.
I'm feeling the mech follow-up, too.
Notice the Baneling Nest timing, by the way. A lot earlier than the last game.
Yes, if this was the Marauder attack, she'd have them just in time. It is a bit faster of an attack, though, with 6, almost 8 Hellions. And, well, yeah, the Liberator in the main base, which...
Liberation is at hand.
There we go. A little bit late. She should be, I would dare say, expecting the Hellbats, even though they haven't transformed yet.
Yeah. There's, I mean, the Bane Nest is done. We talked about it, but there are no Banelings on the map. But I feel like there's enough Queens here. Like, I think, actually, you know what? It's like you just said. It's not as many Hellions as the last game. You cannot pull the same kind of attack. There's just too many Queens. In this situation, what you mentioned is super applicable, that you just build a bunch of Queens and then the Hellions can't really do anything here.
Yeah, and well, what's really smart by SpeCial is that he's not just going, okay, well, I want to do a Helmet attack, I'm going to force the issue. He is actually just saying, okay, I'll just leave him as Hellions, and he's going to go in a mech. So we'll see that +1 something, actually. Well, okay, so it's going to be attack. All right, maybe not the Cyclone mech we've been seeing from other Terrans, but rather just the more standard tank mech.
If you can, I think this map has enough open space that regular mech can work. The biggest weakness of regular mech, right, when we talk about it, is like the air and all that. But I feel like if you have enough open space to spread out a line of Thors, then Thors absolutely demolish everything in the skies once you get it, like once you hit that like 6 number.
Yeah.
If you get past that, you're kind of going into meme territory. But Thors are amazing versus Broodlords, and wow, that Banshee able to get a little bit of damage in. Wasn't expecting that after the response to the Liberators. And these Hellbats are just going to march. My favorite thing to do in this situation is you just kind of move command forward, hit hold position, and then they won't chase back towards the other units. You get some more drone kills. But this is really nice. That's actually really sick play. That Banshee's still in the natural, not mining at all there.
Yeah, 2 Banshees now. Just completely sideswiped by the Banshees. No Spore Crawlers to easy peasy defend her mineral line. She was depending on the Queens being able to respond to them, which 9 times out of 10 they are, except the Hellbats came in at the exact same time, and her Roaches were just a little bit too late. So
she tried to
really
counterattack as well, and the Hellions
easy.
shut it down.
Easy. She did realize, it's mech without actually scouting it, by the way. I think just the sheer number of Hellions that showed themselves is why she added that Roach Warren and started to get Roaches. It was just a little bit too late. And now this is, I mean, it's a mech game, like we're going to have maybe like 5 more minutes here before it's really done and dusted, but this is a position that Scarlett did not want to be in.
Yeah, honestly, talked about SpeCial's form after the first match. I mean, Scarlett, obviously a little bit more competitive here than we saw at a Cham, but SpeCial's looking really good. His build's tight, not getting hit by the harass. He's constantly poking and prodding. I didn't realize this, but depending on the amount of energy that you have, Liberator harass versus Queens with the mass transfuse spam is actually a lot easier to do since that patch. That's another thing. It takes like 1 or 2 less hits for a Liberator to kill a Queen because of the regen over time is nowhere near fast enough for how much damage Liberators do.
These Banshees found a very wide open 4th base, almost got more drone kills too.
And there's in the natural as well. He's just finding openings everywhere here.
And luckily, Scarlett's taking care of the harassment better as time goes on, but she has slapped down every single tech structure all at once, so she is on her way to Hive, Hydras, 1-1, but SpeCial already that +2 attack, 3 base total saturation, even a little oversaturated, so maybe a 4th base will come down too, and he's good to go for maxing out, or getting to at least 150, and then deciding if he can push, but Scarlett, with this very fast Hive, will at least have Vipers. It's just a question of how much she'll have with those Vipers.
Yeah. The Vipers are extremely important, of course. Abduct is a huge game changer. And since it's going to be standard mech, as we've
oh my god.
And, oh, look at these Liberators go.
Oh, that is a nasty.
Really hard to transfuse through Liberators now. And I love that. I love that SpeCial keeps bringing this harass. With the support of the Banshees as well, saying that you can't even punch up on me while I'm moving creep. The other annoying part about this is look at the way he's actually synergizing these Banshees. If you notice, the Liberators, you can't hit them with the spores tucked in, right? So he has to, Scarlett has to constantly move the Spore Crawler by the drones where they can protect from Banshees, and then move them back out to defend against the Liberators. And if she leaves the Spore Crawler in front of the mineral line, then the Banshees can just swoop up towards the top side.
Yeah.
He's made it very difficult for Scarlett to react to the pressure, and SpeCial's gotten a lot of damage done because of that.
And sometimes I think it is just better to put 2 Liberators together. We almost always see them split apart, but sometimes it's actually really nasty to just hit 2 in one location.
Yep.
So SpeCial continuing to just dominate this map. More drones going to go down here. Blue Flame only recently started, but there's just not... this took forever for the Hydra to come back and defend.
He doesn't even have Blue Flame.
Yeah, 14 drones go down at almost 10 minutes without Blue Flame. That's something that Scarlett is not supposed to let happen, especially because, well, there's one thing we can depend on Scarlett to do that still have really great creep spread. So she's getting advanced notice of some of these things. Overlords are on the map as well. They're just really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, this is crazy. Big push is now coming from SpeCial. He's got a pretty good number of tanks, a lot of Hellions, some Vikings as well. Biggest fear is still going to be getting hit with a big blinding cloud. That's definitely where it can turn. But with this many Vikings, it will be hard to get multiple blinding clouds, which I think Scarlett will need with this many tanks and Hellbats.
Yeah. She is going up to like 5 Vipers, I think. 6 Vipers, actually. So some of them should already be gaining energy. Let's try and find them, actually. They're... Stop it. There we go. There we go.
A few of them do have a lot of energy, though, so... Here we have SpeCial spreading out. He's got his tank line staggered pretty decently here. There's the blinding clouds going down on the right side, but the left side completely demolishes the army outside of that base. Now blinding cloud is going to start to expire. The Vikings were able to push the Vipers back. So SpeCial maintains his siege stranglehold on this base, and he is going to advance forward with the tanks. Once again, that hatchery at half health. And here we go. There's so many Hellbats to buffer for the tanks. It's very hard for Scarlett to push up onto SpeCial's army. Look at those Vikings focusing down the Vipers as well.
Yeah. I mean, she managed to keep all 6 of them alive initially. 15 drones go down in the blast of the Blue Flame Hellions. Scarlett is going to have to retreat, give up this base. She does have another 4th base, would be 5th, but this is just such a strong stranglehold. It's going to move into that 3rd eventually, and Scarlett does not have the next step of tech out in the way. She's just depending on Roach Hydra Viper, which is not working right now. Finally, a Parasitic Bomb, but good split from SpeCial to hold on to most of his Vikings.
Yep. At this point, you really just, like, SpeCial actually has the magic number of Vikings to,
just one less.
Yeah, maybe just one less.
That's, well, now it's significantly less. So the Vipers will have more opportunities.
I thought it was 6. Maybe it needs an attack upgrade.
Yeah, maybe it's missing the +3. I don't know. But, yeah, so that's, I mean, he is a little stuck right now, a little scared, right? There's still a big Zerg army.
Yeah, you gotta be careful about getting out of there. You can get jumped, unsieging the tanks to bring them home. Which
is why he was scanning ahead as well, seeing where the army positioning was. SpeCial is missing some sensor towers, if you're going to be talking about perfect macro.
I'd like to see sensor towers here, but I guess he's just saying that, well, I want to spend every dollar I can as efficiently as humanly possible.
I think he's building one right where we're watching right now.
Gonna land the Vikings.
That's the easiest way to deal with it. Still going with that Hellion harassment, something that Scarlett is just gonna, I mean, as soon as she tries to move out like she just did, Hellions will run in, and she doesn't have the minerals or safety to set up a bunch of spine crawlers and not worry about it. This opens up an opportunity for SpeCial to move out in the map and once again clear up some creep spread. This is gonna be a longer push perhaps with so much creep spread. But Scarlett, as I was talking about, like she's really banking on these Vipers pulling through for her, which so far they haven't. But it could change. Some really good Abducts there.
Yeah, and I think the Abduct's really good play. Blinding Cloud is not as effective when there are this many siege tanks because you really can't cover all of them unless the Terran player really goofs and stacks them all up on top of each other. But SpeCial has been very cautious to avoid doing that, been very patient to make the Blinding Clouds not as effective as he inches forward here.
Ooh.
And the Spire is only just now coming in, really, right? It's halfway done, so Greater Spire is still very far away. Viper's going to come in. There's another Parasitic Bomb, and SpeCial is going to advance the tank line. At the same time, Scarlett does push from the south side of the tank line.
That was actually some brutal damage onto the Vikings, but the Vipers, at least 1 or 2 lost their lives. The tanks are going to be fully surrounded, and that is going to be a cleanup, but a costly one. Both of them trading out a lot of their army. Only a couple of Vipers surviving, both of them transitioning into more expensive units. We have SpeCial with Ghosts.
Wow.
Already has 4 barracks up.
Barracks.
Yeah.
Pumping out Ghosts. Mech Whiners. Look at this. This is a good transition to make. Do not just keep dying to stuff, especially with this army. Ghosts are wonderful to mix into a composition like this. I absolutely love it. I love to see this type of strategy.
It's probably the next step of mech evolution, but we have seen SpeCial try this before, well as some other Terrans.
A lot of the Koreans do this now, right?
TY was doing it a lot, yeah, in the qualifiers.
I've seen so many Terran players doing this every mech matchup.
The problem is that if you ever do get pinned back and they're just, you know, they got the creep spread, they got the full army on the front lines and the domination of hatcheries and whatever. Like when you get to that position where it's like main army versus main army, and you're not worried about like who has better economy. You just are both on a lot of bases. The actual fight still goes in favor of a lot of times Zerg spellcasters. Yeah, I had a little Terran bias, but this is watching a lot of TY games where he'll get to Ghosts, he'll get to a decent position, he'll even get Thors and everything else that you ever think of. And one fungal does stop their snipes. You think EMPs would be great, they are, but then suddenly the Zerg player gets too many spellcasters. I'm scared because SpeCial did not win out in the mid game, even though there's obviously still a strong macro game here.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been hurt too many times, man.
Losing that whole army earlier definitely hurts a lot. I'd like to see him try to be a little proactive with the Ghosts on the front line if anything does get close to him, but well, we're at the point where Vipers are abducting Hellions, so you can really tell Scarlett's at least been feeling this harass. best thing that SpeCial has done this game was just really getting those Hellions in, getting the Banshees in earlier, putting on tons of pressure. Nukes are on the way.
Yes.
We have Broodlords coming in too.
That's one thing, is that, you know, when I was describing that scenario, a lot of times the Terran is kind of just pinned back. There's spine crawlers for the Hellions, and enough of them too that Blue Flame just doesn't work out, you know, through them, which sometimes happens. But then they aren't using their ghosts to actually do much harassment, and that's where you can really get back on the map here, because right now, Scarlett, creep spread, right? Like, you're going to see Hellions from a mile away, but if you cloak a ghost prematurely and then run in, they're not going to see it coming. They're going to wonder where the hell all of these nukes are coming from.
Yep.
It can be really sick.
Yep. And the transition, getting a Thor as well in there.
20 drones went down, by the way. That was actually pretty good.
SpeCial's harass has been gnarly.
And Scarlett's still pushing through it, though. I don't know what's the resources lost here.
Bolstering that army. She's got the Broodlords. Let's see what she wants to do with it. If you look at the upgrades tab, by the way, Zombie Grub, there's a set of eyeballs there now.
Yes, we'll never have another graphic.
That's a spooky face.
Oh, these are the cool ghosts.
Yeah, those are that's the ghost skin. I believe it's called the Eidolon. That's the one that you got if you owned StarCraft 2 before it went free to play.
Ooh.
Yep.
So I have that one. I didn't know it.
Yes, you do.
Very cool.
They're little Tron ghosts.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They kind of look like Tron. Liberator harassment going to continue on here. If we are going to go into an extreme late game macro TVZ mech versus spellcasters, basically, then I will expect to see sometime attempts at Raven usage, maybe even Liberator range as well. We have the first big fight with these ghosts coming down.
Ghosts are the primary anti-air here, so let's see if SpeCial can push through. There's the snipes going down all over this army. Blinding Cloud is not going to stop. Gets a sick EMP on all of the Vipers, but the siege tanks still have to run away. He is going to try to siege them up. The ghosts are just going to spam that snipe down on top of all of the Hydras, blowing everything to smithereens as the reinforcements continue to come in, but the snipes need to get onto those Broodlords with the Overseers here. The Hydras are targeting down the ghosts.
Oh, gosh. That
Big
was
trade.
That was surprisingly effective with the tanks being unsieged, and the ghosts got so many more snipes than they usually do, because Scarlett...
Lost is dead even.
That is impressive. That is very impressive. But the missing ingredient there from Scarlett, maybe she didn't realize there was that many ghosts. She wasn't prepared to deal with EMPs.
Fungal would have been sick.
Yes, exactly. Even with EMPs, and that one EMP on the Vipers was absolutely sick. If you can get enough spellcasters, even with a lot of sick EMPs, there's still that perfect fungal that stops the snipes.
Yeah. The fungal's always
really
going to be the big threat, and that's you need the tanks to zone those away. It's always important if you're a Terran player advancing in a situation like that. You want to constantly be scanning. At this point in the game, unless you're losing your whole entire army, at which point you're desperate, you don't want to drop down mule hammers left and right. You want to have a scan, at least for when you're going to attack. You need to be able to do that. Here we go.
Yeah.
It begins. The nuclear missile descending towards the Zerg base. The Spore Crawler repositions. Will it be too late? No,
Yeah.
matter. He's gonna kill. Oh, you know, he'll cancel the infestor that's building. So there you go.
And kill himself. Nailed it.
Well, he killed himself rather than let the Zerg kill him, so that's a moral victory for the Terran.
There are some other fungal makers, yeah. Infestors being made, but they're going to be on the front lines. He does get transformation servos, so the opportunity to take down these spine crawlers a little more realistic if you can change them into Hellbats immediately.
Oh, the ghost! Oh, no!
He went for the deep dive with the EMP, but got snapped back there. Fungal landed.
How many ghosts does he have now? Okay, still 7. 4 more are on the way. How many Thors do we have now?
6.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Put him into single target mode.
This has become really complicated.
Transform.
The Thors are quite good against the Broodlords. We still have to talk about, you know, potentially Blinding Clouds when the EMPs hit. Abducts as well if she gets out on the map. But she is now the defensive one, right? It's SpeCial that's being able to move and position and get those fights that he wants started, where she is still just trying to make that bank that you really need to play out a super long game as a Zerg player.
SpeCial's already thinking about mining all the gas on this map. Look at that. 1-1 for Bio just started.
Nice. If we see that full transition, that would be really, really sick. But we still got a long game to go before that full transition comes into play. This is actually, okay, there we go. Cleaned up.
Pretty weak push there on that side.
That was weird.
Maybe he's trying to trade out some of the
I think so. Yes, I think that was the sole reason he did it. I was just like
got sensor towers and turrets in the middle of the map.
I just went through the Blinding Cloud. Yeah, this is always a very, very cheeky thing to do. I mean,
SpeCial's finally going to get rid of some SCVs.
Yeah, he was up at 85.
Yeah. I don't mind it because the units take so long to build. Like, if you're kind of taking fights, then having that many SCVs spread out to bolster the bank's not bad. Also, because sometimes players will bring a bunch of SCVs over to repair. We have medevacs being made. Just build 3 medevacs.
3 of them, really?
Yeah, there's going to be 3 medevacs on the map. So
Wow.
for repositioning, I guess.
I have seen some. I think Fantasy was a guy who was trying to drop EMP. You know.
I'm really scared of that Ghost tries to drop the nuke, cancels it, runs away, dies. Anyway, ooh, that one might slip through.
Yes, it is.
I'm really worried
clever.
about Neural Parasite right now, by the way.
Yes.
I think Neural Parasite could very easily end this game because you do need to keep some degree of tanks or like ranged Liberators on the ground. That one's gonna get okay. A couple drones.
Yeah, I don't think she noticed it, but luckily there wasn't much around there.
There's another nuke coming.
She
This would be a really sick one. I think he could block the hatchery if he were to hit it directly.
Okay, she's not noticing. I mean,
Wow, I really thought she was going to cancel that one, but that's going to be a sick nuke.
yeah, 16 drones go down. A couple SCVs are dying, but I think that is just continued sacrifices.
If you can get at like 6 orbitals, he doesn't really need too many SCVs anymore.
Yeah, totally. But it's more about bringing up the idea that Scarlett's not doing anything on the other side of the map. You know, as far as killing SCVs,
Yeah.
maybe that's not important anymore, but she's not denying bases either.
Fusion core is coming in, by the way. That's done now. High-sec auto-tracking, building armor. These are really good upgrades to get this late in the game. Especially, I think it's understated how big building armor has an impact when you get those harassments on your base. Because Broodlords, without melee upgrades, even with melee upgrades, Broodlings just do significantly less damage to planetaries. Planetary with full upgrades is 5 armor. Broodling with full upgrades is 7 attack, right? So 2 damage per hit.
Which she is upgrading them fully and completely. Plus 2 flyer attack as well as plus 3 melee.
I'm mostly concerned about Neural Parasite on the Thors because the Thors will obliterate all the Vikings instantly, and then the Brood Lords should be able to get a ton of damage in during all of that as well.
I didn't really think about it in that direction, but you're all right. They take out the Vikings.
Because the Thor's AI, the way that
Yeah.
they will immediately shoot down all the Vikings.
But it's also just taking them out
Or
of the equation
Liberators.
entirely.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not helping anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a very good point to make. So SpeCial really is trying to set up the high ground to be just his. I mean, he's king of the hill, and she's not going to be able to break him, which usually means they start going around the map. But at least we have something finally happen, canceling what was way too greedy of a base on location.
Liberator range is coming in as well. I like this a lot. I think Liberators synergize very well with Thors. Because the only thing that really deals with the Liberators effectively is either the Vipers or the Corruptors.
Oh, lordy.
And they are grossly outrange. Wow, the Ghosts are just going to step forward.
Joe.
Pew, 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 pew.
Go for the Queens. Interesting. I mean, it's a safe distance away from the fungal for now with a high ground, and we do have more Liberators you're talking about, so it's going to give them some safety zone too. But interesting to see snipes on the Queens. They're still an important part of the composition. Scarlett's finally expanding around the map. She would even take this one if she really was allowed to, but she might just...
I think
they
we'll
focus
see her
so
go forward
much.
at some point. If this stalemate continues in the center here,
Yeah.
I like the nuke, push back the spore crawlers.
This is why it can be so useful as well. Like, obviously getting 20 drones on a hatchery with a nuke is awesome, but also just getting widespread creep removal and stack defense removal for the nuke. So otherwise, you don't feel very confident about pushing into an army like this with stack defense.
I always like the suggestion of like the nuke should just actually burn the creep off the ground, like instantly clearing the spot as well.
That would be
pretty cinematic.
favorable.
I don't know if it would be balanced, but it would look
Right?
really cool.
It's
Like if creep had a death animation from being nuked.
it's hard to say that would be imbalanced.
Oh, Neural Parasite's the Ghost to cancel the nuke. Okay, I've never seen that. That was cool.
That was cool.
I've never seen that be the way that the nuke was stopped.
Yeah.
Considering that the Broodlord has more range than the Neural Parasite.
Are you kidding me? Why not? You got mules.
Yeah,
mules
don't
on
need
days. How many
the
orbitals
mules
you
to
got?
mine at this point.
You got 9 orbitals, 1 freebie command center, and only 3 planetaries. Because he has not had to deal with any run-bys or harassment.
Yeah, good attack there. Ooh, a lot of these units pushing forward over here. The Thors, not all of them in single target mode. I'm triggered.
The Ghost got some snipes, but Scarlett is responding with transfuses, so the Broodlords mostly survived there. I'm really interested. We have 2-2 finishing for bio, and while that's technically helping the Ghost, I suppose, it would be so sick if we saw a full bio transition. But
I mean, he has 4 barracks, right, that he's been building the Ghosts off. He could get Stim Combat Shield, Concussive Shell, and even go back in time and get the Nitro packs at the same time as well if he really wanted to.
Yeah, just what would it really do? I mean, I would be in favor of like a couple just to do drops around the map. That'd be like super sick. But this is just looking to be for the Ghost, which we've seen from other Terrans as well.
Yeah.
SpeCial all about those special tactics.
It's really important to use the Liberators to cover the Thors from the Infestors, and then the Thors can kind of just push forward on their own. The Siege Tanks are a lot less relevant once that happens, and the reason why I say that is the Siege Tanks are only going to hurt you at this point. If the Liberators can keep ground units away from you, you don't want the tanks splashing free damage, because the Broodlords don't do crazy damage to the Thors. The Thors can kind of take those hits, but the tanks really help kill those Thors fast, or anything that gets it. Abduct cancels the nuke. There you go. Buy 2 ghosts.
I'm afraid that Scarlett is a little stuck, though. I mean, we're watching a stalemate, basically, but one that SpeCial is slowly winning out on.
That's weird. Both players have too much money for me to be sure at all what's going to happen. Nukes are also a great way to completely get rid of your bank without killing anything noteworthy at the same time.
I've done that, for sure. But
I think that's why you start the bio transition, because you will waste all your gas on nukes. Like, the nukes are not worth it unless you are getting really big hits or using them to stall. I don't know that I'm a huge fan of, like, if you're going to throw the nuke out front like this, like he's been doing, I think you really need to be, like, super prepared to just pick off whatever's going to come try to stop the nuke.
I do think it's better used to do multiple forms of harassment. It's just another tool to use along with Hellbats or drops or Liberator harassment. One at a time is resulting in this, where she just moves the spore codes every time, so that he's not getting anything effective.
This is 100 minerals and 100 gas.
Yeah.
Gone for nothing.
I don't know where the drones went down, but Scarlett's at 64 drones, 8,000 bank. I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, Scarlett's not worried about money anymore either.
Medivacs for the Thor drop is pretty funny.
Oh.
Kind of nice.
I wasn't sure. What if, for a moment there, I thought that she might neural the Medivac to bring the Thor back over.
Why are all the ghosts over here? Yeah, that would have been cool. High tier strats we're talking about. I mean, we are just watching a stalemate right now. We are thinking of what could-haves, but they are at probably the pinnacle competition.
I'd like to see SpeCial aggressively mule Scarlett's bases. You laugh, but I think it's a really good strategy.
The thing is that you laugh until it's 45 minutes, and then it's like, oh, Nate was right.
There's no money on that.
Yeah. And that seems to be where we might be going there. Like
SpeCial, like when you make this push, just drop a mule hammer on her base. Every single mule is 25 minerals she'll never get.
Yeah. I mean, he might start thinking about it. Right now, I like that he's trying to get damage done, right? The Hellbat attacks aren't going to tear down bases as much as drones, which isn't so much a worry. But the Thors could punch through spine crawlers and the hatcheries, theoretically. But Scarlett is able to respond because this is still not being moved. She could just leave her Broodlords here. Oh, this nuke's actually going to get off on the hatchery.
Could hit that one Infestor.
And the Infestors.
Okay. Nothing of consequence. The next one could get the hatch or get it low enough to kill. Queens are coming in transfusing. There's another, a little bit more committed to this top side attack. I do like that. SpeCial's bank kind of pales in comparison to Scarlett's, but lots of scans going down. And there's the neural parasites on the Thors. And, oh, good focus fire onto the Infestors there. Oh, I really like that. This is a really good way to get through. Thors absolutely demolish Infestors as long as you don't have all of them neural at once. But oh well. That's actually, see, that's really funny. Like, the attack cooldown actually made the Thors waste like half the time they were mind controlled.
That was good focus fire to extend that battle, get a few Infestors, where Scarlett was hoping that would be more of a freebie. In fact, doesn't even get those final 2 Thors. She thinks she will with the Infested Terrans, doesn't work out, and they can actually hit the hatchery now.
And
Spine Crawler's done.
Nuke killed the middle hatch now.
And 8 drones. I don't believe any real army went down, though. Gosh, I hope I'm right. Okay, yeah, 16 Broodlords are still alive.
That was really good. Some good snipes, some good snips over here from them ghosts. Oh, trying to bait the Broodlord? Nope. Okay.
That was close.
That's another snipe on an
Super
Infestor.
Close. We are out of nukes at this point. Looks like it. He's gonna maybe research more.
I don't. Well, he does have enough bases that he's not mining gas off of that he could do nukes for a bit longer. This map has a lot of bases on it. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Well, honestly,
No.
No. No. Oh.
Is that our admin?
It's take.
It's take.
It is Naruto.
Someone.
Shame.
Game was too intense. Game was too intense for him.
Yeah, it's too many nukes. I was gonna point out, like, you know, what you were talking about, that he doesn't take many of the gases. The actual efficient mining of SpeCial has not been that impressive. I don't know what's going on. Like, he's using too many scans or mules. Or
I think he's too focused on the front line.
Like, I'd actually, like, I wanted.
He's had the top base for a while. No gas mining there.
You're right.
Finally got the bottom base again. Not mining the gas there. And mineral-wise, like, I'm not going to complain about his worker count because, like, obviously he plays Terran. He can mule if he needs to. Like, you shouldn't worry about your mineral income in this situation like this. But Huh.
Yeah.
I feel like he really, like that top side, he's done a great job pushing there. And Scarlett's clearly not been willing to commit too much. Take your gas.
Yeah. Well, definitely that. I wanted to look around and see what the saturation really looked like. And then there's also the topic of maybe he pulled SCVs to sacrifice a little too early. But that's, theory crafting for later because we actually have a battle going down here.
Picks off the units up here. Mind controls the siege tank.
Scarlett's
almost just moved the Broodlords away.
Yeah.
Like, wait, that is not actually my siege tank.
14 drones went down. She is being impacted rather heavily on that account, so that the bank you see right now is probably going to be the biggest you ever see it, really. SpeCial finds another opportunity to deny mining.
That's really nice with servos over here. SpeCial, so the thing about this map that ends up favoring SpeCial a lot, and you've kind of alluded to this, is it's weird for this. Oh my goodness gracious! That's not good.
Yeah, that was a...
That's a really sick couple of just free Broodlords.
Yeah, range on Vikings.
Man, that's how you get people to go to the gym. Throw out some free Broodlords, goodness. Is SpeCial getting another fusion core?
Yeah, I checked. He does already have one. I don't know what was up with that.
I guess he's decided he wants to build battle cruisers.
Oh my god, that
wow.
parasitic bomb plus the fungal combo! He landed that so late.
Those Vikings should all be dead.
My lordy.
They should all be dead.
Probably, yes. But the freebie couple of Broodlords didn't result in anything game breaking. It was rather scary.
You know, I think in a stalemate situation like this, I love that SpeCial invested into all the bio stuff. In fact, I still think he should just get Stim and Combat Shield out of the way.
Yeah.
Because if it comes down to it, Mass Marine with 3-3 beats Mass Ling with 3-3. And Zerg, when you run out to just only minerals, that's when Terran's like, yep, Terran's just going to destroy you.
It's terrifying.
And usually when you're playing mech, you're like, oh no. But even then, like, Hellions would still wreck Lings, but you're like, what about Spines and Queens? Like, well, no, if you have 3-3, you can just start building Marines.
You are absolutely correct, but this is the third or fourth time I've seen them just do it for Ghosts.
Please repair those Vikings.
It was TY and Fantasy who went for their upgrades for just their Ghosts, and we never saw any bio swap. So here's hoping that it becomes such a desperate game, but these are such... Like, the matchup here could be so volatile when the battle actually comes down. How the spellcast is going to be used really, really well by Scarlett as Fungals blanket the Vikings and the Ghosts. Stop a lot of snipes from coming down, but still half the Ghosts trying their best to get the snipes and not quite killing the Broodlords. Some more Fungals come down. Broodlords still raining hell from above, and the Liberators aren't helping as much as maybe they would hope to. This is actually a win for Scarlett, a big win for Scarlett.
This fight was basically SpeCial using that option in the game lobby where you can set your handicap that your units have lower health, and he had himself set to 25% during that fight.
He did. The Vikings being just instantly KO'd was big. A lot of these Broodlords, if there were 6 more Vikings in the air, would have, half of these would be dead.
The Specialist is dead here.
I think so. He can't remax. He never got those gases we were talking about. In the blink of an eye, SpeCial went from having the commanding position, the king of the hill position, to being forced back. He's now desperately trying to get that gas back up, but we don't even see his attempt to go into Marines despite having that 3-3. Not that it would work. We still have Broodlord Infestor that would dominate anything he can pump out here.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what he can do. He's going to try to snipe the Broodlords, but Infested Terrans are going to come out with them 3-3 rocket launchers. They're going to blow these Vikings out of the sky, especially with the support of the Corruptors. And once Zerg gets on top of Terran production, that's all she wrote, baby. Building 6 Vikings at a time is not going to be enough. There's too much here.
It's impressive, if he can get up to maybe 20 Vikings and kill 15 Corruptors and then also dodge Fungals from the
And
Infestors.
Then a billion Zerglings stream across the map.
Yes, that's it. Well, at least the Vikings would not die to them.
Well, SpeCial's trying to hold on here. There's a weird scenario where it's because these units move so slow that he's like, maybe I can do it, but once Scarlett gets on top of the production, that should just be it. Honestly, get these Corruptors caustic spraying too. The thing is, Vikings move so slow, like they can't run from the Corruptors, so you can't actually kite them, and even if you could, the Broodlords would still kill everything anyway.
Right, you'd be wasting so much time.
Yeah.
This is...
Going to game 3.
Yeah, I can't believe it, considering the first 10 minutes of that game were so SpeCial favored. I mean, not as much as the first game, I guess, today. But
well, he took, like I said, he took the big fight with nothing. The Liberators were all sieged on one spot, and the Like, the Liberators had this whole zone carved out, and then it was just this spot. All the Infestors are right here. They're just like fungal, fungal, fungal. Liberators are all shooting at, like, Infested Terrans, which you do need to do because Infested Terrans would destroy the Liberators. But I think if he spreads out his Liberation zones a bit more and brings some SCVs, those Vikings were at low health for, like, a minute.
Yeah.
Repair your stuff, okay? It costs barely anything to repair, and all his Vikings died instantly to one fungal.
Yes. all those things are super important to note. It's that situation again, man. It's Valentine's Day, and my heart's been broken again because I've watched that same setup where it's like, oh, Terran's doing rather well. Oh, Terran has the map. Oh, he's going to go into this composition. And yet Zerg spellcasters end up winning the day. I'm not trying to say it's imbalanced. I'm just trying to say that it feels like Terrans are still figuring out that super late game. And if they don't break such a top-tier player like Scarlett before they're forced to try that ghost thing, the spellcasters seem to win out, man. It's just this trend, and it's tough. It's tough to watch.
Yeah.
And then all the Zerg players are like, no, you're so dumb. Like, that mech composition always works. Ghosts are good. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen it in the pro games often enough to believe you.
Yeah.
My heart breaks, man. I want the Ghosts transition of mech to be the winning move, the way that you can capitalize on any victories you got earlier on, but Scarlett actually has a cheeky little emote.
I would have liked to see the a little bit of the bio transition there used when your opponent's committed so heavily on slow stuff.
It's just one of those things that sounds so cool in theory. And technically, like with the mineral bank, you're supposed to have, right?
Yeah, it has been done before. You don't need to make medevacs for them if you're throwing them away like Hellions.
Yeah.
They're just more effective.
It just is also one of those things where if those Broodlet Infestors are still alive, right, which in that case they were, it's not like a transition would have helped there.
No.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, you also need to have all your units be as useful as possible. It's tough. It's a really hard fight to take.
It is. Yes, it is. I'm guessing I'd actually say that SpeCial goes back to bio. Not because that game hurt him, but it must have been very frustrating.
yeah, it's a tilting way to go out.
Yeah. But kudos to Scarlett, who was in a rather poor position and was able to, keep a clear head, get to those important units, and utilize them with patience. There's a long time where she was being nuked, and it looked like SpeCial was going to win, and she just waited it out. So just two top-tier players battling out in this TVZ. We're now on to Automaton as the ace match. In the bottom left is the red Terran. It is SpeCial.
He faces off against our Canadian Zerg in the blue on the right side here. She is Scarlett.
This would be...
Well, it's a smaller map, right? So it's just good for bio, being able to jump around.
Yeah.
This map, though, it's not too difficult to split, I don't think. But the size of it kind of complicates it a bit. A lot of Terran players take that low ground base adjacent to the gold as their third. And that kind of gives you, once you have control over that zone, you can put another command. It's really easy for Terran to do this, especially. It's just having the other command center there to mine off the gold from the other side.
Right.
Zerg and Protoss don't really do this because you're like, well, I'm building a nexus just to mine these minerals, and it blocks stuff. Whereas you can always lift that command center once you have the opportunity to take another base and go for it. And I feel like that makes taking that bottom base by the natural really easy as well once you have that front position secured.
Yeah.
Because Zerg's kind of forced to flank you, and you're like, well, this is the only spot you can really push me.
Mm-hmm. It can work out really well, and yeah, the lack of, the whole idea that Terrans don't necessarily need their 7th and 8th gases that quickly plays well into it.
If he plays bio, and that's why I'm agreeing with you about the bio. I think that's another reason to go back to it on this map.
Well, one of the things on this map is that there is a rather wide open middle area that we didn't see Cham take advantage of because he was playing a very defensive style, but Scarlett certainly would. And we did see Scarlett in the first game of the day really look towards that macro game, probably maybe even with Spire. She is one of the first Zerg players to push Spire. If it happens to look good, she'll actually use it, where some others are like, nah, I'm just going to stick with the Hydra thing. And we have seen some really great games from her in the last couple of months with Mutas. But that is up to her, and it's also a little bit up to SpeCial. SpeCial had one Marauder, held that all in. The second game was a little less so. Maybe he'll throw out something again more dedicated, as that worked so effectively in the first game against her.
Yep. Yeah, I like that attack a lot. It is one of those builds I think you can only do once in a series, unless your name's Maru.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
there's still a dozen other builds SpeCial could do. He could do any of the builds he used versus Cham on this map. You can put a Raven by the main. You still have to go across more land to get to the mineral line, so it's easier to defend as a Zerg, but you can do it. You can still do Liberator, Harass.
As long as Scarlett gets that well-timed Baneling Nest, which you saw her compensate, right?
Yes, yes.
Then she should be safe But then, you know, it's like that last game. There's so much good harassment from SpeCial that even when his Helmet attack didn't do amazing damage, he had Hellions. I mean, I should have pulled up the workers killed at some point. There was probably over 100, easily over 100. There was times where there was 20 drones going down to Hellions. Liberator harassment as well. Like, he still gets damage done, even without necessarily dedicating a whole ton to it. It's just that Scarlett was, as I said, really patient and still took the wins where she could. So, I mean, SpeCial could go for an aggressive maneuver. He is just right now going for that tech lab on a barracks away from the starport. So this usually is a bit of a reveal that they're going to start stim.
Yep. So it'll be probably a very standard, just get some Hellion harass with the Reaper support, start up stim as you were talking about. I would guess that you get 3 command center before double eBay, although there are some Terran players that will go double eBay first to try and keep up. Some Zerg players will get crazy fast evolution chambers, so that's kind of why you see that happen. The upgrades are so important in TVZ.
Scarlett, this is such a wide natural that it's hard for the Overlord to get full scouting.
Yep.
And that is one issue that Scarlett's had, perhaps, is
She'll
that
see
scouting.
the command center at least from there. So.
Yeah, you're going to know that's not going to be a Hellbat attack with this fast of a command center after only 2 supply depots. And yeah, it's just the Hellions. I mean, you still are a little uncertain if it's mech or bio. That's something that's a direct scout really needs to come in at this point.
Yeah.
But she'll eventually see it's only 6 Hellions, and then she'll expect a certain time to drop. These Hellions, speaking of, thought they could be bold. They were wrong. There's Lynx.
I think it's a really big advantage of the way that SpeCial plays, because as I've been talking about, like, there's so many options for you when you're doing the Terran memes that the Zerg player needs to know. It's not like you can go and be like, I'm just going to go up to lair and do this. It doesn't matter if they go bio or mech. You have to, the Zerg player needs to get a scout off somewhere with either Overseer or an Overlord sack. That's hard to do since a lot of Terran is open with the Viking nowadays, or speed Overlords.
Right.
I'm sure we'll see her send an Overseer in when she gets the lair done.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's probably going to happen, but...
It's like you only see 4 Marines at the front, and you're like, are those safety Marines? Because he built safety Marines in the last game, too.
I think... Right now, I think her context is that it's going to be bio, unless something changes. Because even if it was a Halberd attack, like, you could still go to bio afterwards. She's not reacting differently.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, yeah, she's going for melee ground upgrades, too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping, personally, for Aspire to be made after this lair, but we'll see what her choice is. SpeCial, he did not go for an immediate 2 medevac drop as soon as he had him, which you can. He actually did those pushes. It was plural, the 2 tank pushes.
Day, Zombie Grub. Scarlett got you Aspire. That's exactly what you wanted.
That's so nice. It's much better than chocolate or roses.
I'll take the chocolate. Give it to me, guys. It's okay.
I'm not a fan of chocolate. I think it's overrated.
You've never had smidgens. You should come to Pennsylvania sometime.
That's a good point.
We have some good chocolate in the Northeast.
I mean, I've been to Pennsylvania, but I've never eaten Pennsylvania
Gertrude
chocolate.
hot chocolate. It's good stuff. And they don't make it with corn syrup, which is why it's good.
All right, I'll believe you. Maybe one day. So the Spire is going to help take care of this Liberator harassment and also stop SpeCial from doing drops, ideally. But in my mind, as he is going perfectly for Scarlett, is that it's eventually going to be able to get to that nice number of like 20 with +1, and then she's just going to absolutely control the map, and SpeCial's going to be pinned back. But first, she has to survive a couple of attacks, right? And before centrifugal hooks especially is a bit difficult. That's finishing up in like 15 seconds, 20 seconds. Should be all right. Creep spread, one of her #1 focuses, strengths.
SpeCial's done this attack every game that he's tried bio today.
Yep.
Versus Cham as well, we got to see there. He has not succeeded in killing that 4th base with this attack usually. And even now, he's being very cautious, right? Only sending a handful of Marines forward. Like, please just bring your banelings to me. Everything else is by the medevacs at the edge of the creep. You don't want to dive in to the ocean. You don't want to fight the shark on its own territory.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Scarlett is not taking the bait. She's not going to lose any unnecessary banelings to something that's not truly threatening her. The base could be saturated at this point if she had the drones to send over there, which she does. I guess she's just waiting. 70 drones is a very nice number, but also waiting for those mutas to help snipe the tanks, get the monkey off her back, and
yep.
Actually, I don't know.
We have seen SpeCial get drilling claws though in the longer bio game, which I do think is really important. So makes me wonder how effective the Mutalisks are going to be long term. Widow Mines with that upgrade are really, really good in general.
Well, He doesn't know about the Spire, even though that's something that Scarlett
Yeah, he could get
does.
blindsided. That's a good point.
Yeah, well, he's still putting tanks, which is why I'm bringing it up. Like, this could be bad news for his tanks, but this is worse news for his economy. Actually has a decent amount of reinforcements, so she goes towards a potential 4th. It's not quite there.
Actually, really solid hold there on the harass while that army continues to poke forward.
Yeah.
The Banelings actually get picked off.
That was not effective. That was not
Marines
effective
are
at
still
all.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is a big uh-oh. The Lings weren't there to get this around, I suppose, to tank the tank shots, and the Banelings are all gone. Queen's about to fall as well, very close to dying. They want to be around to spread creep once this is cleaned up. If it ever is cleaned up, that was not a big break.
This some city, this defense here, really, really good.
Yeah, it is.
I cannot
That
believe
was-
he still has 71 SCVs after all those Lings attacked him. Right-click on the hatchery.
He's going to get it. At this point, he's going to get it. All the Banelings using that one attack. There was no backup Banelings to stop this from happening. Now there are a bit more Banelings being made, but she spent so many Lings trying to do that run by, 30, right? Like, easily.
That was a lot. I wouldn't, if it was like 40, I wouldn't even be surprised. It was an insane amount of Lings. Second factory on the way to a Thor being built by SpeCial as he rounds out his army composition against the threat of Mutalisks.
Yeah.
Still have to be careful moving on to creep, though. There are still Banelings. There are still a lot of Zerglings to support this. One false move and everything could go crumbling down for SpeCial. This is the final map here for him in this series. Of course, the loser still drops down to play against Cham. But I think after this series, both players would really like a break.
This is going to be a very close battle once again. Some okay creep spread, just one creep tumor. It's going to be cleaned up, and that's, yeah. Well, actually two, I guess, but still that's going to be nice and close if SpeCial continue to push, but taking this very seriously. If he pushes forward, suddenly there's the wraparound potential from the high ground that Scarlett would no doubt be setting up. So she is continuing to buy her time, look for those potential surrounds, pick off whatever she can. With the growing Newton number, now she has at 13 the ability to snipe some units, tanks especially. But right now they can't really get around the Marines. She gonna go for the break soon?
She's going to be forced
setting up.
to. That hatchery's getting lower and lower. Here we go. Zergling Banelings rolling off creep into these siege tanks. SpeCial splitting the bio as best as possible. Great focus fire with the tanks onto those Banelings. Still a bit too much for him to completely overwhelm as Scarlett gets SpeCial offer back finally. That Thor is going to get caught in the middle of the map at the same time. SpeCial during this did get a 4th command center, very important. His 2-2's about to finish. Having that upgrade advantage really big for Sasha as she continues to push in. Okay, she's not going to give up here just yet. Waiting to see those Banes maybe go for the SCVs, and she will. Gets 5 of them, docks on the missile turret. GG, Scarlett takes it. Wow, I didn't expect her to go full throttle on that counterattack, but she did.
She was right.
It worked. That was big.
That was big. So Scarlett ends up taking the 2-1 over SpeCial. Neither one of us predicted that.
I thought that game was going to go on much longer. I was
Well-
like, oh yeah, he gets shut down. I'm like, he should have enough to defend back at home with
Yeah.
2-2, and then all of a sudden Scarlett's like, nope, I've got more than plenty enough to destroy you.
Yeah, I think, some big things, right, is the perhaps not going for Widow Mines, having that instant or faster production, I should say,
Yeah.
to get more of those big shots. But then
Yeah.
also that SpeCial, even if he was to hold on there, he actually had delayed his 4th base quite significantly to do the pushes he was
Yep.
doing.
Yep.
So he was more
Yeah,
dedicated than we were letting on.
It felt like a lot was going very well for him.
Yeah,
And I was just surprised because he normally has so much at home after these types of attacks to defend, and this time he did not. It was just like 1 tank and 10 Marines. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
he usually has more than this, but
That was once again, I think, just like highlight Scarlett being patient. She must have read the situation so perfectly to be like, I mean, there was the one bad attack with the Banelings that we noted,
Yeah.
but otherwise she had kind of calmly let that 4th base go to replace it with the other one, and then really just kept buying time.
really
until she felt
impressive.
confident.
Really, really impressive play out of Scarlett there.
Yeah.
Like, I already told you, I like Widow Mines more. Just because of how fast they build. But great game there as Scarlett advances out. She'll be playing in the round robin segment of WCS Winter Americas. And that leaves us with just the decider. It's going to be SpeCial versus Cham. Don't go anywhere.